Hi, I am Balan Madhavan. Do you want to be successful as a wildlife photographer? I know the answer is yes. But here is the tip: master your equipment thoroughly. Whatever be the camera system that you are using, understand its full potential. The lenses, the camera body, the flashes, everything now have amazing features. But how many of you can handle your camera like you can drive a car or a motorcycle? That is the challenge. I'll explain this clearly with a story of bats in a cave in Mexico. I was doing this photo documentation for the International League of Conservation Photographers in the southern Yucatan Peninsula, where you have these amazing Mayan ruins. So myself, along with my friend and another ILCP senior fellow, Claudio Contreras, we were traveling through the landscape, making pictures of these ruins, the Mayan pyramids, amazing wildlife, and we got a lot of interesting photographs. But in a place called Calakmul, which is again a Mayan ruin, but it is taken over by nature, we came to understand that there is a cave nearby where more than 1 million bats reside. Obviously, we were excited. So we wanted to make the picture of this 1 million bats coming out of the cave. So I was under the impression that this cave is part of it's a cave inside a mountain or a hill. So we could just wait at the mouth of the cave, and when the bats come out, we could click our pictures. So finally, when we located this place, it came as a huge disappointment, because the cave actually was at the bottom of a well, a massive well with a diameter of close to about 30 or 40 meters. At the bottom of this natural well-like surface landscape, at the bottom is where you have an opening. And we had no accessories or support system to climb down to the bottom of the well. So we thought, okay, we'll wait here at the top of this well, at the mouth of the well at the top. And when the bats come out, we can make the pictures. By about 5:30 in the afternoon, in the evening, light was fading away, and suddenly I could feel that the bats have started moving inside the well. I said to my friend, oh, let's get ready. The bats are going to come out. So we were ready with our camera and flashes, standing at the edge of the well, and then the bats started coming out. And there were millions. There is no doubt about that. And they started circling through the well. Since they could not fly straight up, they started circling through the well and finally reached our level, and then they flew into the open sky. So I was clicking madly with my camera and a flash. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, I just want to check whether my pictures are coming out well. Then I suddenly realized that I did not get even a single photograph the way I wanted, because the wall behind the bats, it was like a limestone wall, and it was reflecting all my flashlight back into the camera and spoiling my photographs. And I was feeling desperate, because this whole thing is going to last hardly 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the bats will be gone, and I may not get a second chance. So how can I make my picture work? That was my challenge. Then I suddenly realized about a technique which I had practiced long back at home. How many of you know that in our SLR cameras, there are 2 flash options? Most of the time, when you use a flash and click, as soon as the first shutter curtain opens, the flash will fire. and after that the shutter will close, isn't it? So even if you are going to use a long shutter speed of 4 seconds, just imagine what will happen. You have your flash on the mount, you click the camera, the shutter opens, the flash will fire. And after that, the shutter will remain open for the rest of the time. If it is 5 seconds, the shutter will remain open for 5 seconds and then close. This is the standard procedure. But there is a second option in most of your cameras and flashes. It is called the second curtain flash. So what is a second curtain flash? The flash will not fire at the beginning of the exposure, but the flash will fire at the end of the exposure, just before the shutter closes. So if you put your camera and flash on the second curtain setting, this is what happens. You are going for a 5-second exposure with second curtain flash. You click, the shutter opens. The flash will not fire. But just before the 5-second time ends, finally before the shutter closes, the flash will fire. So the flash is appearing at the end of the exposure, not at the beginning of the exposure. So this can make a huge difference in your exposure and photography. So here suddenly I decided that the bats are doing a clear circular movement and flying out into the open sky. And there was trace of color in the sky. The sun has set, but still there was a little bit of color. So I changed my settings in the camera, opted for a longer exposure of 4 seconds, then pointing towards the open sky and started moving my camera in the same speed and the same direction where the bats started circling. So the bats were circling like this. I was following their movement with the camera pointing upwards and moving like this. And in the meantime, I would click my camera. So along with the exposure, the slow movement also got captured. And wherever the flash could hit the bats, they got exposed, and the bats in the background, because of the blur and the movement, they became ghost-like objects. So here is what I could achieve with knowledge about my camera and knowledge about my flash and knowledge about different techniques. So don't just click the regular way. Every photographic situation demands a special technique. So if you understand the technique and if you can apply it, you can create dramatic pictures. So this is what I wanted to tell and teach you today with this particular example. Thank you.